Hey there, and welcome to a new episode of the Community Show. On this week's show, we will begin with what's going on, news and events from Floyd and Wythe Counties. And then we will move on to this week's sports action, with sports from Floyd, Fort Chiwell, George Wythe, and Craig County High Schools. And then on this week's Something to Chat About, recently I was able to chat with Lila Borgie-Wills, who owns Possum Hollow Barkery right here in Pilot, and we're going to be talking about her business as well as seeing possibly some of her dogs. So stay tuned and we'll be right back after this. And now for this week's What's Going On. Beginning with Wythe News, sponsored by the Wytheville Enterprise. A 32-year-old Hillsville man will have to register as a sex offender after being convicted on Monday of exposing himself in 2012. And now for this week's What's Going On. Beginning with Wythe News, sponsored by the Wytheville Enterprise. A 32-year-old Hillsville man will have to register as a sex offender after being convicted on Monday of exposing himself in 2012 to a then 11-year-old girl. Jimmy Lee Southern pleaded no contest in Wythe County Circuit Court to a lone felony charge of taking indecent liberties with a minor. As a part of a plea agreement, the Commonwealth dropped an additional indecent liberties charge and an aggravated sexual battery charge. According to the Commonwealth's evidence and a preliminary hearing held in 2013, Southern was living with the victim's half-sister in Speedwell when the crime occurred. According to the Commonwealth's attorney, Southern voluntarily spoke to police and denied the girl's accusations. As part of the plea agreement with the Commonwealth, Southern's sentencing was delayed until August of 28th so that Southern can get a psychosexual evaluation and to allow time for a pre-sentencing report to be prepared. Free on bond, he faces up to 10 years in prison. He must also register with the Virginia State Police as a sex offender. Next, a program to provide extended counseling to troubled youth through Mount Rogers Community Services Board has been funded in the latest round of grants from the Wythe Bland Foundation. The Behavioral Health Services Youth Program received $200,000. Annie Satsky-Chase, who is the Director of Youth and Family Services for the Mount Rogers Community Services Board, recently said that this is the first time that they have received the grant. She went on to say that they are appreciative and the funds will allow them to treat young people in crisis that may need more extensive services than traditional insurance will pay for. It will also cover counseling for youth to age 22 and still in school with no insurance or limited insurance. The Mount Rogers Community Services Board serves the residents of Wythe, Bland, Smith, Carroll, Grayson counties, and the city of Galax. Next month, Wythe County Public Information Officer Jeremy Farley will take a break from spreading news about the county so that he can update millions of people on NASA's latest rocket launch. The 28-year-old found last week that he has been accepted by NASA to serve as a social media publicist for the launch, slated for 2:07 a.m. on June 10th. The rocket, Orbital 2, will deliver cargo and crew supplies to the International Space Station. It will launch from the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport at NASA's Wallops Flight Facility in Eastern Virginia. Farley said recently that he can't stop thinking about it. He will go there and be there for the rocket launch, take pictures and tweet about it, as well as Facebook about it. He said that he will just try to promote the launch on social media and encourage public interest on social media in the space flight program. Farley, who has been enthralled with the space program since he was a child, applied for the opportunity in January. It is part of a developmental program for NASA, which is reaching out and establishing itself on social media. As a kid, I remember watching shows on the Discovery Channel about rockets and moon landings. I've always had an interest, Farley recently said. Inspired by a documentary on hunger in America, Wytheville librarian Belinda Stroop is doing her small part to provide food to anyone who needs it. Her small part is an 18 by 5 foot flower bed beside the library that she has converted into a vegetable garden. She planted seeds last week, and when the garden matures, anyone is welcome to its bounty. She said that she wants to show people that even with a small space, you can do what you can and build on it. She said that she hopes to encourage people to think outside the box for solutions to helping feed people. Maybe what grows out of it will provide a meal to someone. Stroop came up with the idea for her garden after seeing A Place at the Table, a documentary that probes the issue of hunger in America by telling the stories of 3 people who maintain their dignity as they struggle to eat. Hope Ministries sponsored a local showing in January. After deciding to plant a garden, Stroop needed some help. She said that she has never planted a vegetable garden, but her mother let her help her, and she pulled the plants more than weeds. And now for Floyd news, sponsored by the Floyd Press. 84 cyclists participated in the Tour de Floyd Saturday. The ride started about 9 o'clock a.m. that morning at Floyd United Methodist Church and ended in the afternoon at the same location. Sponsored by the town of Floyd, the event benefits the local rescue squad. Next, the town council heard from 2 local business owners and a representative of Virginia Department of Transportation Thursday night during a joint member of council and the Floyd Planning Commission. The topic of discussion was the sign ordinance, which council has spent several months revising. Business owners raised questions about directional signs and also artwork as signage. The VDOT spokesperson also talked about the importance of business owners checking with VDOT to make sure they're in compliance with that department's restrictions. And finally, this Saturday, the county's largest bluegrass event is coming to Chantilly Farm. The activities begin at 11 a.m. and continue through the night at the Chantilly Farm Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival. The lineup includes the Blackberries, Gravel Road, Mary Jo and Charlie Snow, with Bernie Coveney, Tommy Morse, and Ron Pendleton. Also, the Boxcars, Junior Sisk and Rambler's Choice, Balsam Range, Jeff Brown and Still Lonesome, and Russell Moore and Third Time Out. Tickets are $25 at the gate or $20 in advance at Blue Ridge Restaurant and Wildwood General Store. And that is all for this week's What's Going On. Stay tuned. Up next, we'll have this week's sports action. And now for this week's sports action, beginning with baseball. Floyd County will have an away game versus Auburn on Friday, May 23rd, beginning at 4:30 p.m. And then they will move on to play in the conference tournament. Fort Chiwell, Craig County, and George Wythe High Schools will all begin competing in their conference tournaments on Tuesday, May 27th. And now for softball. Floyd County softball will be taking on Radford at home on Friday, May 23rd, and then moving on to play in the conference tournament. Craig County, Fort Chiwell, and George Wythe High Schools will also be competing in the conference play tournaments beginning Tuesday, May 27th. And now for track. All track teams will begin competing in conference play beginning May 27th, and then we'll move on to regional play. Tennis will also be competing in the conference tournaments beginning May 27th. And then finally for soccer, boys and girls soccer will also begin competing in the conference tournaments on Tuesday, May 27th. We'd like to say good luck to all of our local sports as they begin their tournament play. And today we're here with Lila Borgie-Wills, who's with Possum Hollow Barkery. So welcome and thanks for joining the show today.
Thank you.
So first off, tell me a little bit about you.
I am an animal lover,
Okay.
and I've always loved wildlife, and I've always loved pets, dogs and cats and things. And so I went to training for wildlife biology and conservation, and I got my master's degree when I went to Botswana in Africa, and I got to live with the lions and the elephants like I always wanted to.
Wow.
And that was my dream, and it always has been since I was a kid. And then I stayed in wildlife biology and conservation work and botany and ornithology, and I worked in Madagascar, and I did all of that, and I really loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then my passion towards local animals when I came back to the States was really important.
Okay.
I was done working overseas for a little while, so I do all sorts of programs helping animals, spay, neuter, and and all of that sort of thing. And then in 2010, I decided the last thing I wanted to do, I was a faculty at Virginia Tech, and the last thing I wanted to do was to have a barkery.
Okay.
And I wanted to have a freestanding place where people could come and bring their dogs and have coffee and sit down and buy the biscuits and have little treats, and I could have people treats too, but not much. And so that's what I wanted. And this place is on a property. It's a cute, beautiful little old store, and we can basically recycle it. So I love it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about what kind of ingredients go into these treats that we see behind us.
They are all human grade ingredients.
Okay.
They're all from local natural food stores. So people can eat them,
Okay.
dogs can eat them, and they're all natural. I bake them I bake them all one by one. I do them all by myself.
Okay.
And they're cut out so they're not done by machine, and they're handled only by me, and so it's kind of like making art, doggy art, and it's cute, and for some reason I just love it, and that's what I wanted to do.
Well, that's great. And now I know that you do other stuff. You bake other stuff besides the treats. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've been recently getting a lot of cake orders
Okay.
for doggy birthday cakes, and sometimes they're having a whole party.
Okay.
There was one place that has training, and all the alumni that passed the class, they wanted a huge cake.
Wow.
For this thing. So I made a really big bone. It was like a 13 by 10 bone.
Wow.
And then frosted it with cream cheese, and it's made with human ingredients that are healthy for dogs.
Okay.
Like carrots and pumpkin, bananas, carob chips, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then a cream cheese frosting with cinnamon in it. Everybody loves them. And then I decorate them with all my little tiny biscuits, the little bites, small bites.
That's awesome. So tell me, where all can you buy these biscuits at?
You can buy them at about 15 to 20 locations throughout the whole New River Valley.
Okay.
In Floyd, in Reiner, Christiansburg, Blacksburg, and Radford.
Okay. So where at in Floyd can you buy these at?
We can buy them. You can buy them at Floyd Country Store.
Okay.
They do really well, and Harvest Moon.
Okay.
The Natural Food Store, and then the Bread Basket.
Okay.
And then Reiner is the Reiner Animal Clinic. If people are there.
That's great. So tell me, do you have a website that people can go to order, or how's that process?
Yeah. People can order either by calling me, and we place an order that way. They can email me, but would rather they go to our website, which is www.possumhollowbarkery.com.
Okay.
And then a lot of information that's on that I have about the barkery, I put on my Facebook page.
Okay.
So a lot of people can go there, and then I put more information about my dogs and my quality control taste testers, and I'm the Virginia coordinator for Mastiff Rescue.
Okay.
So I take in a lot of Mastiffs and older Mastiffs. So we have a lot that goes through here because they don't last very long sometimes.
Right.
So but when they hear the buzzer go off, they know
it's treat time.
and they come over. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about, I know all of these, this is Nick's Nutty Nibblers and Captain's Carob Chip Cookies. Are those all dogs that you've had? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're dogs that we had, either my husband or I, that have passed away.
Okay.
And we wanted to, that's one of the special things I wanted about my business was to honor the pets that we've had.
Okay.
And there's a little story on the back of every little bag, and it tells about the dog, and it tells about the treat, and then it tells about where we are in Possum Hollow. And what I like is that they're made locally.
Right.
They're made locally. They're all natural. There's no preservatives added, and it's something that, like I said, I just love. It's a heck of a lot of work, but I love it.
I think what surprises me the most is that they are healthy treats that we can eat too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, well, that is all the time we have for today, but I appreciate you letting us come into your barkery and talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Carrie Williams with the Citizen Safety Team with another safety tip for you. May is Bike Safety Month. Here are a few tips to stay safe in your biking adventures. Wearing a helmet is the single most effective safety device available to reduce head injury and death from bicycle crashes. Make sure your child has the right size helmet and wears it every time when riding and skating. You'd be surprised how much kids learn from watching you, so it's extra important for parents to model proper behavior. Wear a helmet even if you didn't when you were a kid. Your children's helmet should meet the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission standards. When it's time to purchase a new helmet, let your children pick out their own, and they will be more likely to wear it for every ride. Ensure proper bike fit by bringing the child along when shopping for a bike. Select one that is the right size for the child, not one he or she will grow into. Actively supervise children until you're comfortable that they are responsible to ride on their own. Each child is different, but developmentally it can be hard for children to judge speed and distance of cars until age 10. So limit riding to sidewalks, parks, or bike paths until age 10. No matter where you ride, teach your child to stay alert and watch for cars and trucks. Loose or long clothing can get caught in bike chains or wheel spokes. Dress your kids appropriately to ensure a safe ride. Before the ride, make sure the reflectors are secure, brakes are working properly, gear shifts smoothly, and tires are tightly secured and properly inflated. Teach your children to make eye contact with drivers. Bikers should make sure drivers are paying attention and are going to stop before they cross the street. Tell your children to ride on the right side of the road with traffic, not against it. Stay as far to the right as possible. Use appropriate hand signals and respect traffic signals, stopping at all stop signs and stop lights. When riding at dusk, dawn, or in the evening, be bright and use lights. Make sure your bike has reflectors as well. It's also smart to wear clothes and accessories that have retro reflective materials to improve biker visibility to motorists.